Stay connected. Make sure you hit the subscribe button.
It's weird being the first one. That's all right. Somebody's got to go, right? So I picked Marathon really intentionally as a town. I really love the town. I also want to be clear that I'm part of the military, so I actually can't smoke weed, have cannabis of any kind. I get tested regularly. This isn't going to impact me whatsoever. That being said, I came here a little bit to listen to everybody else's comments too, because I do not understand the referendum at all in terms of like why we would try to outlaw something like this. If freedom doesn't include like what you get to put in your own body, I don't know what freedom is. The arguments about there being extra drugs in the area, we have plenty of bars close by. People are allowed to buy cigarettes. Both of those two things are more deadly to the individual and to the public. There's no data that would suggest that marijuana is a danger to a society when it gets infused into it. Massachusetts seems to be doing just fine. So there haven't been any cannibals there. Nobody's mass rioting. Like, it's all good, right? So I really don't understand why someone would oppose this, even though it's not going to impact me. I felt it necessary to come here to say that just because I really don't understand the other side of this argument. And I'm really invested in the town and the success of the town. I like this place a lot, and I want to stay here. So anyway, if it's about like public safety and well-being, we could outlaw cigarettes first, or we could change the speed limit to 15 miles an hour on every road, but we're not going to do that because that's part of making decisions as a human and as an adult. So that's it.
Thank you, Jason. Okay, next to speak, and if I say your name wrong, I apologize. Terry Ann Montoya?
Yeah.
Okay.
You did well.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members and fellow community residents. I would like to speak on the topic of opting out of the licensing and establishment of retail cannabis dispensaries. Our world as we knew it has flipped upside down in the last 2 years due to COVID, and during that time the change in marijuana laws was included. The legality of marijuana has been a topic in the state government for the past 4 years, and finally it has been passed. So really it should be no surprise that this discussion is taking place. Whether you personally agree with the change should not impact the decision to allow or disallow the licensing of retail dispensaries. There are a lot of antiquated ideas and opinions that exist, and there is still the saying, if you don't progress, you will die. Opting out for certain will do one thing, push people to go where it hasn't been opted out. Opting out will not deter anyone from shopping at these establishments in other towns and bringing it back to our village. Opting out will not prevent people from consuming these items in our village that were purchased at those establishments. There are undoubtedly legitimate concerns every citizen worries about with the legalization: our youth, crime, accidents and fatalities, and of course the mighty dollar. On March 16th, 2021, NPR's Planet Money released a newsletter entitled The Data on Legalizing Weed. In that article, it cited studies from all the other states that have already legalized recreational marijuana that showed no effect on crime rates, no effect on traffic accidents and fatalities, an increase in jobs and revenue, and especially a study that tracked hundreds of people from ages 0 to 38 that showed no new initiation of cannabis use with the legalization. My little family grew up here. My husband and I moved away for 15 years and have returned to the village, the same village. There are nostalgic things included. However, in 15 years, there are very few progressive changes, and many things I enjoyed as a child are gone due to lack of funds. There is a whole generation looking to make change for the benefit and for the good of this village and its residents, and we are asking to be heard and not shut down. We are the generation that wants to progress. We do not want to steamroll. We do not want to cry and whine like petulant babies. We want to make positive impacts in the right way. We want to help and we want to participate. Instead of a hard stop, do not pass go, can we form a committee of dedicated people to lead the agenda to do this legally and properly, working in conjunction with the village board, not against it? Should there be well thought out rules, laws, etc., where the marijuana retail should be allowed? Absolutely. The committee should have business owners, fellow citizens, a member of law enforcement, a full representation of the village as a whole. How wonderful would it be to bring back so many problems that are gone due to lack of funds? Funds to bring back and staff. Swimming lessons, arts and crafts, the baseball program, Lions Club, brand new programs and activities for our youth to participate in. And we have a huge financial burden facing us, which is the 2 main pipes under the river that need to be replaced. You certainly cannot cry broke when there is little effort to bring in new money. When making this decision, please look at facts and data. The outdated and obsolete personal opinions making these important decisions will inevitably drive people away from the passion and love that we all have for this village. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, moving down the list. Josh?
Yes, sir.
You're next.
Mine's short, not that well spoken. First off, I am opposed to putting anything where kids are going to be exposed to it. I am opposed to on-site consumption. I think it should be treated as a liquor store. It leaves secure, you take it home, you do your own thing at home when you're done driving. That being said, it'd actually be safer than most of the bar rooms around here that I've grew up and watched my whole life. I know how small budgets work for small little municipalities. And you have maybe a balloon fund and a fund for tools. Well, let's just say something bad happens and a machine breaks. Now you siphon all the money out. Now you're looking at your balloon or you're over. To shut something down like this that like Homer's gonna reap it in. People are gonna drive all over. They're gonna follow the rules. The cops' presence is gonna be enormous. I believe it's gonna probably make the crime rate go down in the long run because it's controlled. It's just an enormous amount of revenue that this little village could use. That's it.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Okay, as I move down the list, the next person that I have wishing to speak is Betsy Penrose. Thank you.
It's a little longer, I promise it's under 5 minutes. I'm not a public speaker,
That's
so I'm
fine.
very nervous.
Okay.
I'll take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Betsy Penrose. My family and I moved to the village about 6 months ago. My husband grew up in this town, and I've been raising my family in this area for 15 years. Marathon truly is the perfect place to raise kids. I have 2 teenagers and a toddler, and I'm incredibly fortunate to say that they call Marathon home. I worked in childcare in one form or another for 11 years, followed by 4 years working in our school district. I now work in the health and wellness field as a medical massage therapist, and I specialize in pain and PTSD management and injury treatment for military veterans. The integrity of our town is of the utmost importance to me. I only want what is best for my family's future, just like all of you. I want Marathon to continue to provide that future for generations to come. Today we're here to address the issue of opting out of licensing and establishing retail cannabis dispensaries and/or on-site cannabis consumption sites in the village of Marathon. It's no secret that this is a dividing issue and has caused quite a stir around town. Regardless of one's personal convictions, we must be willing to look at this objectively and make a decision that's fact-based and not ruled by emotions. I want to take a moment to share some factual information to clarify some misconceptions. I also want to take some time to touch in on some key points about not only the financial impact of cannabis business, but the socioeconomic and personal health and wellness potentials as well. The only thing our board needs to do is nothing. You're not required to opt out. You are, however, required to listen to your community with open ears, heart, and mind. You chose to represent the entirety of the community, not just yourselves. That being stated, I hope to see a decision that is palatable to everybody. Perhaps something that's not so divisive. Maybe there's room for compromise in this. I don't think it's wise to quit on something without even giving it a fair chance. Over the last week, I've had the opportunity to connect with many community members, and the feedback I've received strongly opposes opting out for a wide range of reasons. Many of these same folks have clearly stated their hopes and concerns about cannabis sales here in town. There are concerns about the potential impact on kids and community culture. Many want to know how much money the town stands to gain and if it's worth the trouble. But the vast majority seem to be against the idea of an opt-out And most of those people want to make compromises along the way to ensure the integrity of our village. Much of the feedback included one of what some of our residents would hope to see in the event that our town has the opportunity to profit from cannabis-related stores, dispensaries, and even small farms. The list I'm about to share speaks to bigger issues. It isn't for lack of trying, but the world still continues to spin as Marathon stands still. I do understand the beauty in that, that's why I live here. But I feel we can have both comfortable nostalgia and modern ideas and revenue. Our town needs a lifeline. Here's some of the things your neighbors want. To decrease and stabilize our current tax burdens. Tax revenue that has no negative impact on environment and natural resources. Would prefer legal cannabis sales happen here instead of nearby towns so we can best benefit from the sale. Reinstating and revitalizing of recreational programs for kids. Reduce debt related to the water main project. Infrastructure improvements, road and sidewalk repairs, etc. Restoration and maintenance of our historic buildings and churches. More staff, equipment, and resources for winter snow management. Neighborhood options for chronic pain management, PTSD treatment, drug abuse treatment, and overall health and wellness purposes, and resources for military veterans and improvements to our local American Legion. All of these items can be attainable and likely many more by simply keeping an open mind and maintaining an opt-in status. By not opting out, we have the power to choose what specifically works best for our community as cannabis legalizations unfold in New York and the inevitable federal decriminalization and legalization of cannabis. It's only a matter of time, and if we miss our window by opting out, we could place our community in a hardship that will span decades or longer. Let's take a look at some facts. How can we financially benefit from cannabis sales in our town? I'm unsure where the figures came from in our local neighborhood news publication, but a quick internet search will show you that we stand to gain considerably more than 1%. New York will be enacting a retail tax of 10.25%, as well as state and local taxes, which average to about 8.5%. This brings us to almost 19%. And this doesn't include the other excise tax that taxes the amount of THC in a cannabis flower and derivatives. Sure, many will continue to source their products the way they always have, but many will pay the sales tax for a number of reasons without batting an eye. Now that the plant's been taxed, where does the money go? Municipalities will gain a whopping 75% of their own tax revenue. The other 25% will be allocated to the county. The amount we gain from the state's not been fully determined, but much of the funds will be allocated to equity programs, loans, and grants to ensure opportunities for small farmers and communities to thrive in the cannabis business. I invite you to take some of your time to look up the facts yourself. Even if you don't plan to contribute to the sale of cannabis, you're still going to benefit. But what about the kids? What about preserving the culture of our beautiful little community? The question we need to ask is, what do we do to carry our town into the future so that our kids can thrive as adults here? Aside from the potential for financial stability and growth that I previously stated, we're talking about one of the safest medicines our planet has to offer. We collectively look the other way when it comes to alcohol. Alcohol leads the way in substance deaths in America. Approximately 95,000 people per year die from alcohol-related illnesses or overdose. Contrary to popular belief, alcohol is also the most difficult and unsafe to detox from, including opiates. Withdrawals from alcohol can cause serious medical complications, sometimes death. The burden families pay for alcoholism shows everywhere. We have families subject to abuse. We have poverty directly related to alcoholism. DUIs are on the rise, and so are drunk driving accidents. And to top it off, Portland County ranks 6th in New York State's worst counties for drunk driving. Alcohol costs us more than it's worth. It steals our resources from law enforcement, social services, child protective services, court system, etc. And right alongside, we have an opiate crisis. Lieutenant Michael Strangeway reported that drug abuse and drug-related deaths are rising faster than ever in Portland County. Deputy Police Chief David Guerra has spoken openly about our drug crisis and the need for treatment-based resources. In 2020, the overdose rate in Portland County rose by 200% and cost our community approximately $70,000 in autopsy costs. Just like alcohol, prescription drug and opiate-related crime, death, domestic abuse, poverty, and neglect all take a massive toll on our system as a whole. Fun fact, there have been 0 deaths from marijuana overdose. Furthermore, all over the United States, marijuana is being used as an effective and safe tool for detoxing from these substances. People who use cannabis are not causing an influx in our system that we do not have the staff or resources to accommodate. Cannabis actually solves the very problems which can allow our kids to live in a cleaner and safer community. Our community actually stands a chance at cleaning up some of the darker issues with the legalization and sale of cannabis. My final topic's very close to my heart. As I said, I work with veterans in need of PTSD and pain management. I talk with veterans every day, and I hear a great deal of feedback concerning cannabis. I also hear how dissatisfied they are with the current resources and the stigma of being a vet and using cannabis. These men and women pay the ultimate price for the rest of us. And in my opinion, they have the right to treat themselves with a medicine that works. Many veterans are struggling with opiate addictions created by our own VA system. Many more are suffering from debilitating PTSD. Both of them leave nowhere to turn. Many have found hope in the use of cannabis and now have a light at the end of the tunnel. Cannabis has been proven to assist in treatment in conjunction with medical and mental health care, and has had incredible success in reducing the dependency on prescription medications for both physical ailments and mental health conditions. Disturbingly, 20 United States military veterans commit suicide daily. That's 20 too many. And if cannabis can save one veteran a day, that's a win. Opting out sends a dangerous message of complacency and ignorance to our community. We have to collectively choose facts over emotions. By choosing to opt out, you will tell our community your personal interests come before the majorities, and that you do not respect our need to create stability and growth in our town. As I said, the world still spins while marathons stand still. Please make a choice that will reinforce a culture that contributes so many positives for our communities and families. Thank you.
I asked you to keep it to a limit because there's other people to speak, but you notice I didn't bring the pulley off the stage, so they can do it old days on TV, so we're very good. Sam Whiting, your name is on, but you didn't put yes or no if you want to speak. I just didn't want to bypass you. You don't have to. I'm not putting you
No,
on
it's fine. I
spot.
actually do have a couple things I want to say.
Okay.
I was just kind of waiting to see if anybody else had hit on what I was going to hit on.
Sure.
So, as far as what Betsy was saying about the people that are in pain management and have PTSD and stuff, I know for a fact because I'm in pain management and I have PTSD, and I speak to a lot of these other people that have it when I see them at my appointments. A lot of these people live in places like Kilowog or Marathon or these small towns, and they have to drive 45 minutes to an hour, sometimes 2.5 hours, just to get the pain management, just to get the medicine that they need. Where like if we had a store here in town, they could drive 5 minutes, get what they got to get, save themselves some gas money. Because let me tell you, when you got to deal with the government, you don't get a whole lot of funds to get gas money to drive 2.5 hours. So it's not just a matter of revenue and things like that. It's a matter of quality of life for a lot of people. It's a matter of, do I have to drive 5 hours to get my medication, or can I drive 5 minutes to get my medication? Am I wasting $100 in gas, or am I wasting $5 in gas? You know what I mean? It's a give and take with everything. And I understand, and I get what a lot of everybody thinks as far as like the old school devil's lettuce kind of thing about it. I get that, I understand, and I would love to preserve our town for what it is. I grew up here my whole life. I moved to California and I came back because I like it here. But we have to move forward. We're gonna get left in the dust if we let all these other towns collect on this, because they're gonna have dispensaries, they're gonna have places where they can consume, they're gonna be raking in the money from it. Not only that, but as a whole, in my opinion, if I raise the capital on my own to open my business, Doesn't matter where I live, it should be my right to give it a shot. I should not have other people telling me whether or not I can spend my own money on a business that I want to try and see if it's going to work. That just comes down to basic constitutional rights. That's what I got.
Thank you. Okay, moving along the list, we're actually on page 2. We've got a lot of people not asking to speak, but I think the next person that I have to speak looks like a Y, Cindy Gray. Who's Cindy?
That's not a lie.
I couldn't tell if it was a Y or an N.
Listen to me, so.
Okay. Okay, well, as far as the yes, sir.
If, I'd like to speak,
Okay.
if there's nobody else.
Well, I'm just going to give you just a second. There's a lot of people that walked in late, and I don't know if any of them are signed up to speak. Mike's going to bring me the new list that I don't have here. We'll get to you.
I have some point of order questions, not trying to put my 2 cents in again.
Okay, Jason.
Did the referendum that you guys have going forward, is this something that the board decided on, or is it something you're mandated to make a decision about? Like, how did this come up, I guess that's the question.
Okay. You know what, I was actually, one of the things at the beginning, I was going to read the law. So here's what it is. The governor signed into law back in March legalizing marijuana. So, well, we're not talking about your right to use marijuana, possess stuff to smoke marijuana. That's not what it's about. It's not even growing marijuana, okay? It's only opening up a store to sell marijuana within the village, okay? Or having, I don't know a better way of putting it, a pot bar, a place for consumption. We have till December 31st to decide on passing a law to either opt out or not. If we opt out, we decide to pass a law this year to opt out, we have the ability next year or year after to come back into the program, okay? Override that law. If we don't opt out next year after December 31st, we cannot opt out then. We are in the program forever. That's according to the state law signed by the governor, okay? I hear through a lot of the comments that people have got some very good, I mean, you obviously have read up and you've done your homework, but in a nutshell, that's what we're required to do, okay? We can not take action, but then we're in the program, or we can take the action, pass the law, but then override the law at a future date. That option is available to us then. Not doing anything now won't give us that option in the future. If I made myself clear. Any questions?
Just one other point of order question. So it is being recorded. Sorry to
no, just be
but I'm just wondering what that recording's being used for and whether that's part of the
Okay.
bylaws that it can be recorded.
Kevin Smith is a reporter for the Cortland Voice. Okay, I spoke with him on the phone the other day. A number of you have read his article online. They do a news online newsing. It's an open meeting, so he's welcome to come in as anybody is. Any recording he's doing is for his own personal, write a story, probably you're gonna use it for your story tomorrow. I don't think you're not gonna broadcast this, are you?
I don't think so.
I mean, I thought about introducing him, but I didn't want to interrupt some of the speakers too,
So we do allow in our bylaws for people to come and record during.
I can't, from according to the open meetings law in New York State, I can't.
Can't prevent
I
them.
can't not allow them to do it.
Okay. Thank you.
As any of you could, the only reason the only time I can is if your recording is interfering with the procedures. That's the only time I have any authority to say can't do it. Okay. Okay. Ryan Ostrander.
I'd like to say a few things, just because, a lot of people misunderstand marijuana. I myself have used it my entire life, my adult life, And I work in a highly technical industry. I've had a job for more than 20 years. Consistent, same job. I can say that it would be convenient to be able to have local access to this, as somebody else has stated. Not only that, I can tell you, it's not out of your community, it's in your community. This way you're ensuring that the product that people are getting is something that's regulated and safe. You've got other stuff out there. Your kids or even adults are going out and buying it illegally at some, you don't know what they're getting. It could be laced with fentanyl. People are doing that all the time. People are getting injured from these things. At least in that situation, you know it's a regulated, safe product. And you know that whatever they're getting, I mean, it's going to be for people that are 21 years and older, just like alcohol. And I'm sorry, over the years, alcohol has caused considerably more damage than marijuana ever will. Don't get all, you know, like, alcohol will reduce your inhibitions. That is the gateway drug. People like say marijuana is gateway drug. It doesn't reduce your mental capacity or control. Some people are affected with it. I mean, just like any drug, people are affected differently. Everybody could take the same drug and have different reaction to different alcohol. So some people, like me, it helps with anxiety. I have quite a bit of anxiety, and for some reason, while it gives some people anxiety, it actually gets rid of my anxiety. I don't know why, but it's always been that way. If I don't have a small dosage at a regular period, I get, I don't know, I can't quite explain it really in detail, but I just feel wired, like I'm over-energized. Like ADD, I guess, would be probably the comparison. Maybe I'm ADD. I don't know. I've never been diagnosed that way, but it is something that has worked for me. I've tried to get away from it because of the fact that it's illegal. I went to doctors and tried numerous antidepressants, all kinds of, they wanted to try mainly antidepressants, which I'm not depressed, never have been. I don't know why they wanted to go down that route, but for some reason they seem to think that that's going to be the solution. It doesn't. The only thing I've ever found that works for me is marijuana. And some people it makes really lazy and tired. It does not have that effect. Like I said, each person is going to react differently to any drug that you have in the market. The main thing I want you to consider is, one, not only would it be a revenue for our community, but it would be a safety measure for our community too. And most people don't consider it that way, but I can tell you, no matter what, it's not going to be here. It's going to be here. At least make the product safe and make some money off of it. Why wouldn't we? That's all I really wanted to say, because most people don't consider some of these points.
Thank you, Ryan. Next on the list, Barb Ellen.
I'm against it for more than one reason. We have a lot of theft in this community. If you bring in people from other communities, you're asking for more trouble. And it still is a federal offense. What has people forgot? That it's a federal offense? If my husband, who has glaucoma, would take it, he loses his job. Every company does not allow marijuana. So you have to think on those lines. And people think we're gonna get so rich. 1%, if you even get it, will come to our community. But then let's think about who we're going to be bringing into our community. If you're happy with it, I could have stayed in the city if I wanted it. I left the city to get away from drugs. So we're going to say, okay, let's bring it into Marathon. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. All right, I don't think I have anybody currently signed on the sheet. Jesse, would you like to speak?
So, high school, I was an athlete. So to be an athlete, you had to go through a code of conduct. We went through a lot of marijuana and use and its effects on the brain. I also had the opportunity to go to multiple conferences for being an athlete and more stuff on marijuana and the consequences on the brain. So, can anyone in this room tell me the age where your brain is fully developed?
25.
25. So, weed is legal at 21. So you're given a 4-year gap where you're given an undeveloped brain the opportunity to use a drug that is not good for the brain. Even as an adult, it's not good for the brain. And I'm just against marijuana use for that purpose. I may be wrong, but that's what my data shows. That's what I've been showing all my life. So I don't think it's a good idea to promote it in our community. Thank you.
Okay, I would just politely ask if there's anybody else that did not sign up that would like the opportunity to speak right now, raise your hand and I'll give you the opportunity. Please stand and or state your name.
I'd like to take a look at my map. My name's Monique. Sorry, let me introduce myself. My name's Monique. My family has been part of Marathon community. We never lived in Marathon, but my family's gone to Marathon school for the past 5 generations. So, been here a while. Anyways, my points, I'm nervous, I'm sorry, because this is what I get to deal with on a daily basis. Is my chin jutting out, my tremors, my spasms.
Could you speak up? We can't hear you.
Sorry. Okay, so the reason I stood up is because I want to show you what I deal with on a daily basis. In 2010, I fell down some steps. I was always normal, like stood tall, neck in, chin in, stood tall, and then I fell down some steps, face first, and this is what my result is. I have tremors, my chin sticks out. It's called cervical dystonia, and I also have something called Mayer syndrome, which affects my face muscles as well as my speaking at times, especially when I get nervous. And I just want to say that if it wasn't for marijuana, which I've never used my whole life until this happened to me, I would not be where I am today, because it has helped me with my pain, it's helped with my spasms, and it helps with my anxiety that I deal with when I have to go out in public for people to see me this way. If I have to go out in public and I have to talk to people, you have absolutely no idea how nervous I get, how anxious I get. What are they gonna think of me? What are they gonna say when I'm sitting here spasming? What are they gonna, do they know about my neck? Do they know about me? What are they gonna think when I'm doing all these movements and they don't understand what's going on with me? If it wasn't for the use of marijuana, I probably wouldn't be functioning today, I will be honest. I spent, I can't tell you how many years in excruciating pain. I couldn't work. I could hardly function as an adult. I couldn't think. Sometimes my pain was so great I couldn't even drive. I had to lay down in the car just to get from point A to point B. These two are my testimony because they're my kids, and they've also used marijuana because they have stress and anxiety, especially when they go into groups of people. And how do they get into groups of people without becoming a hermit in their own home because they're too anxious to go out into a crowd, even to a family function? They smoke some pot before they leave the house so that they can decrease their anxiety so that they can be a human being in front of other people without being afraid to talk to them. I am against opting out of, or I don't know how you say that, I'm sorry, but I am for having this in our community. And because I would like a place that I can go to get it, where I don't have to wonder where it came from. I get it from this person who knows that person who knows that person. I don't know that person. I'd like to know that the person that I'm getting it from has grade A, and I don't have to worry where it was grown, what's in it, any of that sort of stuff. I believe that we have a right as adults to choose what goes into our bodies and how we deal with the things that we have to deal with in life without people telling us that we're not allowed, which I know you're not telling us we're not allowed, you're just telling us we're not allowed to get it here in our own hometown. What better place than where you live than to go to another town 30, 40 miles away to get what you need right here. If I had it right here, I wouldn't have to worry about where I'm gonna get it from. I wouldn't have to worry about traveling or any of that sort of stuff. I wouldn't have to worry about where my kids are getting it from because I don't know where they get theirs from. I just know I get it from him. Just saying. But anyways, I just wanted to stand up and show you what this looks like, because I think it could help many other people that may be too afraid to use it because they have to get it from this person that knows that person that knows that person. If they could walk in, have the book. It took me forever to muster up the courage to even try it because I felt like I was doing something.
You were against it for years.
I beat this kid up. No, I didn't really, but I let him know.
Not really, pretty close.
Because I was pretty close that he was smoking. But now I'm not. Now I've gotten educated on it, and I try to educate others on it also because of what I have to live with. And I know that I am not the only one that lives in chronic pain. I know that I am not the only one that can't function on a daily basis unless they have something. I quit taking pain meds a long time ago when they sent me to the hospital several times because it made my heart race. And because a neurologist told me, because I was in excruciating pain, told me that all I wanted to do was become a druggie. And when I walked out of his office, I quit all my pain meds and I didn't go back. And I had to find an ulterior motive, but I lived in excruciating pain every day, not knowing how I was gonna deal with this, how I was gonna deal with the pain and deal with standing in front of you guys. Anyway.
You did great. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, one last call. Anybody that hasn't had an opportunity to speak that would like to?
I'll just take a minute if I go. I think a lot of people know me from Marathon my whole life. My wife spoke. But just a couple things I want to touch on that's really important to me. Just to think that we would get 1% or any number of percentage is ignorant because we don't know yet. The numbers are not out. The state has not fully decided, and we don't know. But to say 1% is it's not close, guys. It's going to be much more than that, and I don't know. Nobody knows. I think the one important thing to me is about the kids. I grew up here, guys. People are worried about this being exposed to the kids. If you go to another state, to a dispensary, a kid is not getting within 50 feet of that door. But any kid can walk into our stores and steal 40s, 12 packs, anything they want, anytime they want. It wasn't until about 15 years ago we moved our cigarettes. So if you're worried about that, let's shut these bars down. Let's get this alcohol out of these stores. That's what's killing people around here. My dad is a statistic because of alcohol. He quit for years. My first 12 years of my life was hell. Anybody that knows that knows that. Marijuana is what saved my dad's life. Marijuana, 100%. 100%, guys. And it saved mine in a lot of ways. I took some medicine when I was a kid for acne, and it's a chemotherapy drug. I didn't know. About 40% of the people that have taken this drug have committed suicide or committed major crimes. Not me, guys. And there's a reason. It's marijuana. And we're sitting here talking about our kids and about safety. Go to a dispensary somewhere and take a look. You're not going to see kids. You're going to see security. You're going to see police. You're going to see active adults, responsible adults, people that don't want to lose their businesses over selling drugs to a kid. We can't say the same for our bars. Not even close. Every one of us has been in one of these marathon bars and watched somebody who's 19 or 20 years old drinking like a fish. Or whatever it might be. Like I said, you can go into Extra Mart right now with a 12 or 13-year-old and slip any alcohol you want out of there and walk out. Who's going to stop you? Anybody, really, seriously? So when it comes to safety, get educated, please. Go look at what they do to protect these dispensaries and what these people do to go through the hundreds of thousands of dollars it takes to get licensed, the hundreds of thousands of dollars it takes to be insured to have these businesses, and tell me that they're willing to let a kid come in just for a little business. No, we should not be worried about the safety of our kids. Our kids in Marathon smoke marijuana and they have forever. They're gonna get it. It's gonna happen. Nobody knew Nobody new is gonna come to Marathon and just sit around and smoke weed because we can now. That's not how it goes. We're gonna have people coming off the highway and getting it and getting right back on the highway. We're gonna have people coming through and coming out of the woodwork to say that I would like to at least try it. I would say that in a small town like Marathon, we may have maybe 1% of an uptick of marijuana users, and they're all gonna be adults your guys' age, all of our age. It's not gonna be kids. Kids can get access to it easier than we can. And it's true, it's funny, but it's true, guys.
It is, kids. I grew up here.
And listen, if we opt out of this, this is your guys' personal preference and a very small group of the Marathon people. Now, I understand you said we can always opt in. That's a crutch. We opt out, I'll be really clear. I personally will make it my goal to try to find some board members in this town that are willing to listen to us. You know, I don't know any of you, many of you personally, I'm sure you're great. There's reasons that you're here, and you guys have helped our town a lot, but this is something that it sounds like you kind of want to look the other way. And I just please invite you to do some research and look at some numbers. Don't listen at the 1%, don't listen to whatever. Find your own numbers, look through the state. Please, take the time to really think about this. You guys are going to affect our children, your grandchildren. When you're gone very soon, it's not gonna matter. We will be affected by this and our children. And I'm sorry, but it's sad to see there's no Little League. Maybe that's Lions Club, maybe that's not Marathon money, but you know, a little bit of extra money could help. We don't have that. We don't have arts and crafts. We barely have anything. We barely have any sports anymore in Marathon. I see 2 kids down here playing basketball. When I was a kid during the summer, you couldn't even get on those courts. You just couldn't get on them. You couldn't. There's nothing in Marathon for these kids to do. Nothing. And now they ride around on their bikes and people look at them like they're troublemakers or just causing trouble. No, they're kids with nothing to do in this town because there is nothing directed for these kids except for a basketball court and a tennis court that you can't even ride a bike on because it's tore apart. Our town needs this desperately. This is our lifeline. If you can find us a better one or show us a better one, please do. We are here and we are listening. I don't care what it is. I'm open to it, but to talk about the safety of our kids and things like that, that's silly. To talk about the tax revenue being 1% or lower, that's silly. This is gonna be millions and millions of dollars. We have New York City in our state. That helps us, guys. That's millions and millions and millions of dollars that'll kick back to us just because we don't opt out. Now, is it gonna be that much? Of course not. But it's gonna be something. It'll be better than zero, which we are getting, which we will get by opting out. I don't really have the numbers, but I hope you guys do your own research on the numbers, each one individually, and come back to each other and at least talk about it.
One's better than nothing.
But that's really all I got to say, and I really, really hope you guys take more than maybe a night to consider this. I hope you really dig deep. This is just marijuana, and it's not what everybody's making it up to be. It is a plant that grows from the ground, and that's it. That's it completely. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna say it one more time, last call. Okay, seeing no hands, I'm gonna call the public hearing to a close. I wish to thank everybody that came here, those that spoke and those that didn't. I do appreciate your thoughts, well thought out. Yes?
So, sorry, not about a comment from me, but would it be possible to just do a quick hands up straw poll of the group? Is that part of what you guys are allowed to do? Because you guys are saying you're doing hearing. Some of us spoke, but not everybody got the chance to voice their opinion. I'm sure a lot of people will opt out because maybe they're not sure. So having a yes, no, uncertain seems perfectly reasonable for us to try and express our opinions to the board.
It's not for or against the rules, but I'm gonna probably not do it because I don't want to put anybody on the spot that didn't have a chance to speak. Okay, they didn't speak for a reason, and I'm just gonna think I should respect that. Okay, but
They will be able to opt out, though. I mean, they could just decide not to raise for either way.
no.
Okay, fair enough. It's your call, but that seems like a good way to know the voice of rate.
I got a question. Do the trustees make the decision, or can it go to a public vote?
Okay. So you weren't here when we started it. We're now going to, after the public hearing is closed, we're going to enter in our bi-monthly meeting. the decision or any discussion of the opting out is not on tonight's agenda. We deliberately left it off the agenda so that it'll give the board a couple weeks to digest everything they've heard, okay? Do their own research if they feel they need to do any more research, and then we'll come back at another time and talk about it and make a decision, okay? So that won't be tonight. Okay, thank you again. Public hearing is closed.
Stay connected. Make sure you hit the subscribe button.